Thank you, everybody. This talk is going to be kind of a continuation of the one I did last year for previous ContinuuCon. So it's about the resynthesis, analysis of a sound, and resynthesis, so recreating the sound with a set of sine oscillators from this analysis. I will first be back on the principles because everybody was not there last year, so I will be quick on this, and then most of the talk is going to be about the new tool we were having, which is a specialty synth. So everything is integrated inside the synth, and you can create your own analysis and directly send it and manipulate it and create your preset for the continuum. So basically what we are talking about is we have a sample and we do an analysis. It's a Fourier analysis. I won't go in the details, but basically we are taking a set of small windows of the sounds, making the Fourier transform, getting all the partials. So the partials is a list of the frequency which is inside that small window that you see. And then there's a tracking mechanism which is trying to follow the evolution of partials. And this is driving, at the end of the day, here or here, some oscillators. So we are going outside of the Fourier world. It's not a reverse Fourier. It's really driving oscillators. The good things about driving oscillators is that you can control everything you want. It's really whatever you want. So and basically, to go to the continuum, you're going to slice these partials, so this oscillator tuning. So for each oscillator, we will have just the pitch and the amplitude, and we will slice in 512 slices, and all these slices will be sent to the continuum. Yeah, that's pretty cool. One other important thing here is that we have what we call noise boundaries, meaning that it's not only a pure sine wave. Every sine wave can have also an additional noise attached to it. That allows things like you have several partials which are quite close, and you're gathering them in one single, and you add a little bit of noise, and that will fool your ear. So it's not exactly the same thing as regarding the signal, but what you will hear is very, very similar. So that's a way to narrow the number of partials, because we need to go from what you will see sometimes tens of thousands of partials to 64 and still having something that sounds nice. By the way, my English is still not at the level I would like it to be. So if there's anything you don't understand, just say, please, can you tell again or ask question or whatever. Another thing which is important is that we manage formant. You know, when you transpose a sample, it has this weird pitchmonk effect on it, and but managing the formant really avoid. I will do a demo of it. Fully avoid that pitchmonk effects, and you can control also this formant. So that's basically the formant is the shape you see on the left, and you will apply it to any pitch you will play on the continuum, so correcting the amplitude of each sine wave according to the formant. I'm going fast here because that's not the purpose, but that's just so you have the basics. And if you want more information, just raise hand and ask questions. So last year, you saw that guy with a lot of parameters, a lot of steps to go from the first analysis to what you can send to the continuum. I had the chance this summer to work for Hans Zimmer together with Guillaume and Ed on Dune, and we used heavily this tool. And I did hundreds of different analyses, but that allowed me to identify the most often used pass through all the features of the tool. So what I did is just remove the less used features and just focus on the most used one. That means that there are things that I can't do anymore in the new version, but that's, let's say, 90% of what you want to do will still be okay. And I can still, on my side, do the complicated pass if needed. So that's basically what you have now. So the colors scheme and everything is not yet nice. What is important is the features and the sequence of features. So with on the top you have the input analysis. You have on the middle so tuning and channelize. Channelize is really grouping the partials, so you can narrow them up to down to 64. And then you have a test area, so you will be able to test the first result within your computer, so it will be the computer sound. And from this, you can send the analysis to the computer, and you have the lower part is really a specialty synth. So it's going to control directly the Egan Matrix, and it will allow you to build a playable preset, because in the previous version, you only had the analysis, then you had to send the analysis via the Egan Matrix to the Continuum, and then you had to build your own preset. But that means this means you need to deal with the additive synthesis bank. It's not easy. You need to practice it. But doing it like this with a pre-built specialty synth, you will see it's very intuitive. So you don't have to learn the details of what's behind, and you can save your preset and you're done. You have your playable analysis. So let's jump to the tool. I just realized the computer is behind me, so you will see my back while I'm manipulating. So this is the tool here that you can see. So let me try to see. So sorry, I should have put it here. Anyway. So the first area here is where you input your file. So you can load a file, you can drag and drop a file. Here I'm just going to drag and drop this small sample. This is coming, maybe some of you know Eric Mouquet. He attended some ContinuuCon, and his wife is from Japan. She's Japanese, and he recently did a set of concerts in Tokyo, and he wanted his wife to give her voice for an analysis. So that's Yuki's, so Eric's wife, voice that you will hear here.
Mori no naka ni chisana otoko no hito to onna no mori no naka ni.
Okay, so we'll first start with this. Remember that we have to cut this in 512 slices. So you can use any length of sample you want, but if it's very long, you will have one slice for quite a long time, so you will lose every transience or any movement within that slice. So usually, the best is to use something like between 1.5 seconds up to 10 seconds can still be okay, but longer, it works. It can be fine for sound design and doing, but if you want to be still close, it will be difficult. Yeah.
Just a very quick question. The vocal sample was all at the same pitch. Is that a requirement, or has that already been processed?
So when Eric asked me, I knew what he wanted to do, so that was a requirement for myself to Yuki. But that you're perfectly right. You will see. I will give other examples. It works for a lot of things, but it doesn't work for everything. And if you have one single pitch like this, that's easy. If you want really to play the voice, yeah. So you also need to be careful of what you get as input, and that was also part of the time we spent with Hans is to speak with some of the singers there and ask them to do some specific monotonal takes. So I can you can do whatever, but it's easier if it's to play that kind of things. It's easier. But by the way, this one it's A.R. Rahman's daughter, Khatija Rahman. So A.R. Rahman came to previous ContinuuCon, and he kindly gave me a stick just after the demonstration. And so he's using this preset too, and then he allows me to use it too. Yeah.
When you say 512 total samples, is that the same amount of memory that'll? Yeah. I know.
The mailing is much bigger.
It is much bigger.
Yeah, it's 10 times this.
Okay.
So So it's a tenth of mailing. You can really put it on whatever sample you want.
Right.
But then you have to experiment if you are okay with.
Yeah. It's something like Molly, it would be a lot more smeared.
Yeah. So let's do the analysis. So what I have here, there are a few tools that there's a normalize, there's a play, so you can play it. And it maybe. So we have the selection tool, so you can really focus on the part you want. I also added a recording, so you can have your microphone or whatever, just record what you want and play with it. So it may be fun. So in the analysis area, what you will see here is a number of partials. And behind, you have a set of presets. The names of the presets, I don't know. Most probably at the end of the it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, because I try to call one standard, one low frequency, the other voices, but the voices one typically work for some voices, but not for all. It's difficult to have a global naming of very technical parameters. But let's take the standard here. So this is the analysis you're hearing, so that's not anymore the sample, but the analysis is played here on the computer. And depending on the preset I'm going to use, so it's relevant. You see, previously here I had 11,000, now I have 30,000, so much more. So you will need to find kind of a compromise between how many partials you will get and the quality you have. We don't have. I will show you an example where sometimes this voice is quite good in every preset are kind of working with it, but sometimes it's just awful or very different from what you expect. I still have 3 basic knobs here, with resolution, width, and frequency floor, which are linked to the analysis. Most people won't have to deal with them, but I thought it was still useful because sometimes you just moving a little bit of this may help. So that's for expert users, but still can be useful. You will have to experiment and see how they work. This is the visualization area, nothing specific. One thing here, you have that area here, which is showing the pitch of the voice. I think there are some. I'm just I'm taking by the example, but here, if you see the pitch, all the pitch is up, and I have 2 frequencies going really down. So the mean frequency is 200 hertz, but I have ones going down to 88. Obviously, I have no 88 frequency here, and if I leave that 88 here, that's going to ruin the channelization that we will see just after that. So that's a step that very often you will not have to do, but still, if this happens, you need to check visually that how it is and correct it. And to correct it, it's quite easy. When there's a drop like this, it comes at 88, and I have a parameter here where I can say don't go under a specific frequency. So here, let's say I don't want to go under 200 because it looks like the voices are around 200. I do re-estimate, and now that's much better, much smoother. I don't have this frequency drop in the fundamental frequency estimation. Let's take time. One thing also I can. This is just so to playing the results. That may be also a good way to check that the guess is accurate. I could rework the guess to make it more accurate, but there's no way it works all the time. So I thought it was best to show it to people, then you can correct it, and that's easy to correct. Now I still need to go from these 36,000 partials down to 64. That's where the tool does what we call channelization. So creating channels where basically what we are going to do is whenever we have two partials which are next to each other, we will put them as a single partial and add a little bit of noise to that partial. So we're going to try to narrow it down, and let's see what we will get. So 142, that's better. That's still not 64. So what I have here, if you look down, I have a filter where I can say remove every single frequency below 40 and remove every single frequency above 11,000. It's in the frequency domain, so that's a real brick wall. It's gone really to kill everything. And those things this is doing is according to the length of each slice. If there is a partial which is smaller than the slice, it will not really do anything. So I can jump and remove these ones. So let's say here, probably with that sample, if I cut everything at 100 Hertz, it's okay. Let's say simplify. Yeah, I'm at 68, so I'm let's say close enough. I can keep whatever I want, but at the end of the day, the following step is going to extract only the 64 hires. So let's do it. So you can see the visualization here is not really great, but I will need to rework it. But I now have this 64. So let's hear how it works. You can hear a bit of artifacts, but it's already okay. And that's really the analysis as it will be sent to the Continuum. I can navigate straight. I can repitch it. Okay. This is interesting, but in fact, the more interesting is I would like to start using it. So the computer version, but controlled by the Continuum. So here I can select the Continuum. It's here. You see the traditional blue lights coming on. And I can load any preset from that place. I'm going to load an MP control preset. And I have that area here where I can say I want to scrub through that area. So, just things I can do here. It's not very loud. Yeah. So, if I run, this is without the formant correction. So I was telling you that the formant correction is something important. This is without, and this is with the. So I can do this, and I can play cycles with. So I can already play it, check if it's okay, and now if I'm happy with this, I can send this to the Continuum. So first thing I will do is save that analysis. So I have traditional saving. So it's saved now, and I can send directly the analysis to the Egan Matrix with that button here. So you see there's a preparing. I know maybe it's a bit small. So it's starting in 1%, 3%. So it's going to take about 1 minute to send it to the Continuum. So that's a long space. So I have to talk for 1 minute, but that should be okay. And if you have any questions, feel free. That's a good moment for a question. But I'm going to start introducing what we have below here. which is the specialty, since it's not fully finalized, but you have all the feature. You can select the analysis you want. So one thing I didn't say, we have 10 slots, 10 places. You can store 10 user analysis in this version of the firmware. Probably it's going to be 20 at this summer. So you can select the analysis you want to play, and you can control the speed. So there was a cycling mechanism, so that which is circulating inside the analysis. So you can select the speed. You will see that you can control it with the y-axis. So you have a control on the speed with the y-axis, and this is a visualization of. So it's done now. So let's say I have to load the proper preset and stop this one. So this is a Continuum now. I've switched, so that's not anymore the computer playing, that's really the Continuum. I can play polyphony. So that's really it. I can control from that specialty, since I can control the speed. And I can decide, so here, it's the same speed all over, but if I raise this one, it's stopping here. So you can decide of the amount. You can say, okay, I don't want it to fully stop, but just being slow and control. One important part also is that visualization, so of the waveform here, but then you can select any part of it. So let's say I want to play only this part. Okay, that's one thing. So you can really select whatever you want. So that means you can also use a longer sample analysis and then use just slices of it, and you can create as many presets as you want using the different slices. This here is the way I'm circulating inside. So in fact now it's a ramp up. So I'm just moving from the beginning to the end of the selection place I have, but you can decide to have a ramp down. So it's meaningless now. It doesn't say the proper world, but you can have a triangle, so going back, forth and back. Oh, it's the one thing. You can control the format. You can control. This one is just something I will improve, but that's the spreading of the partial. So you can they are for now natural harmonics, but you can decide to spread them or to make them closer to each other. That works nice. You can decide to pitch or unpitch. So here I have a full pitch correction. So even if the voice was monotonal, I can. If it's not, I can correct, and you can hear. Here I added an additional correction, so it's really purely monotonal. And you see, and here I'm even putting some emphasis on the deviation from the reference frequency. It's always good to have a bit of deviations. Really fully flat, it that's kind of kill the live things of what it is. Yeah, and one thing, so we have 64 partials, and also can decide to play only 32 or 10 or 1 of them, so that's... There's a noise input level that I can manage. It's subtle, but you can hear there's some glitches are coming from the noise that is added here.
The noise, so basically you're inputting noise that's following a formula.
Yeah, it takes a noise, and from that noise it creates bandwidths one for each partial, and it's centered on the partial, and you can control the level of the input noise. So if you put no noise as input, the noise analysis will not be used, but you can also overdrive it and yeah. The funny part here is I do it the traditional way. I input noise, but if you want to input anything else than noise, it's cool. So you will get what you will get, but that may happen to be interesting. There's a filter, so with resonance. So, and we have then the traditional body. So, let's take a harp. So that's the exact same feature as Ed demonstrated yesterday. So you have all the convolutions that are available inside the matrix, and you can apply them and tune them the way you want. That's really a great tool to change a sound. That's really part of the sound design. And then you have of course the effect. So we have a preset. We're done. Thank you. And so obviously you can save that preset. We don't care here. But
on that one, we're using pressure to control the speed that it goes through the syllables.
In that sound design, preset design, it's not the pressure, that's the Y, but if you want to use the pressure, that's very easy.
So you're using Y.
Yeah. The thing is, I will have a set, so for now that's just a cycling preset. I will have a set of different presets, but it will be only a subset. So from that point, I won't do anything you can dream of because there are too many possibilities. That's the role of specialty synths, but you still can use that preset, use the matrix, open the preset, and then tweak, evolve, change everything you want, but you have a fully usable starting point.
Okay. Can you put the time position on the Y, not just the rate, but could you just like have
Yeah, that's something you can do. So you can don't here it's automated by a shape generator, but if and you see I did a Scrabble, so you can have on x-axis or whatever.
Yeah, safer to do it on X because X is very precise.
Yeah.
The way
I want to take sometimes too.
Yeah. But the other thing about this fluorescent is that it's a synthesizer on the computer, so you can use it that way. You can control by MPE on the computer and all that stuff. But it's different than the thing that Ed showed yesterday, because here you can save a Egan Matrix preset and then go mess with it in there and make it do whatever you want. It's sort of a starting point at that point. And that's really not true to make ratio things. The ratio synth really expects interface. This is almost like something that generates Egan Matrix presets if you wanted to do that. And so they're pretty different animals. But yeah.
Although I can imagine more features into this specialty synth for sure. Just my mind started to race with it. Are there plans to support other languages besides Japanese?
No, only Japanese will be supported. I've spent years learning Japanese now, so I want to take advantage of my Japanese learning.
Can you give some examples of some sample inputs that would not work well?
Yeah.
And why?
So we can do it now. I have a set of other things that we can do, but let's see. Yeah, for example, and sometimes you don't really know why it's not working. So let's take that one.
A bit of alchemy in this. Cool. Yeah.
Also, since it doesn't work.
I can't stop the time from passing.
Okay.
I can't stop the word from changing.
Let's take that at the
I
beginning.
can't stop time. I can't stop the time from passing.
Okay, if I try to analyze this one,
I can't stop the time from passing.
the first step looks okay. I do the
I
channelization.
can't stop the time from passing.
You start hearing some deviations.
I can't stop the time from passing.
If I play it now.
Sounds great.
Yeah, accuracy, that's cool.
I can't stop the time from passing. I can't stop the time from passing.
It's not that. Yesterday I did some play tries, and it was not that good. What's happening here is that you have some. If you listen at the first one,
I can't stop the time from passing.
there is a huge room sound. So whenever you're going to have some reverb or that's blurring all the partials, and the result is you will always have that kind of phasing effect inside that you won't be able to escape.
Just take a room person was in, chopped up and sold bits, and reflected at that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what it
so,
sounds
yeah,
like.
yeah. So we did with Ed. He has some nice reverb killer processing, and that kind of work. It's not perfect, but that's helping. But and that's kind of frustrating because sometimes, for example, you have a very nice singer voice. But usually singers, they like to sing with some reverb around, and as you said before, you always have some air around, so you can hear it. So it may be frustrating because you have a very nice possible input, and you will never get something really being what you expect. This said, one thing you need to know with a tool like this one is, so here I have a lot of artifacts. So it is going to be kind of far away of what you wanted at the beginning, but it's very fun to play with the artifacts. So you have to change a little bit your sound designer mind and say, okay, this is what I have. How can I play with it? And don't say, I want to have this. If the tool doesn't want to go in that direction, there is no way you can push it to the proper direction. So it's much easier to play with artifacts.
It sounds like if it's a drier signal and it's a purer frequency, it's fundamental, then it is going to play a little bit better with the additive algorithm.
Yeah, as dry as possible.
As dry as possible. As pure as possible.
Yeah.
And then it would maybe play the way you expect.
Yeah.
Does it seem like sibilance has enough? Because it seems like the sibilance was really coming forward with where the phasing type started to show up. So.
Yeah, same thing. When you have a recorded voice, so that's why I was asking Yuki Bouquet. That's why Japanese is working well. There's not so much long shs, and the long shs are really not great for analysis. You can do things, but that's not the best. It's much better to have some short, very short consonant. So. Yeah. So you will have to also learn how the tool behaves, and things will work or they will not. Randy sent me some RCA theremin stuff, and I had a lot of time struggling with them. I will show them too. We can use it just now as another example of things which are difficult to manage.
Christophe, can I ask you, in that example, it sounded like there was one point where she was speaking with the character of her voice kind of became just slightly more raspy, so almost like the timbre was a little bit different. Did that make a difference in the analysis?
You mean the timbre of the voice? Yeah. So some voices are working well, others are very difficult. For the reason we will see just now. For example, maybe you know the YouTuber Cuckoo. He's a great guy and a friend. But he has a very low voice and a lot of very low harmonics, and the voice is full of harmonics. And it's nearly impossible to narrow it down to 64. So his own personal timbre is nice when you hear it directly, but for the tool, it's just horrible.
Power to the little people.
Question, for the tool that you're using, is it a custom tool that you
I should have mentioned it. It's a tool that, the initial tool is named Lois. It's based on the work from Lippold and Kelly Fitz. They work, I guess, 20 years or 25 years.
Yeah, it was a PhD thesis for Kelly Fitz. So, and it's open source. Anybody can use it. But like lots of open source stuff, it sounds great, but to actually sit down and try to use open source is hard. So I think you can probably count on one hand the number of people that have used it the last 20 years. I'm glad that Christophe is one of them that did that.
Okay, so I changed it a little bit, correct some bugs, make it real time, and make it Egan Matrix compatible. So I on the top of it, I have added quite a lot of.
Yeah, it's really important to remember that about open source things. Yes, I know that Unix or something might be open source, but you got millions of man hours in there, and just the amount of work that Christophe had to do to take this thing, this library, and make it into something that could play in real time, that could fit into this is enormous.
Yeah, that's a work that was started pre-COVID. So.
What's the plan for the tool? Is something that's going to be released then?
Yeah, I hope next summer.
This summer or
this summer?
2025.
No, 2024.
2024.
In fact, to have this tool running, you need the new firmware. So it will be after the new firmware will be available. And as you see, it's not fully finalized, so I need to put some additional work. It will not be a traditional finally finalized tool with all the huge graphics. It will. Yeah, it will be my own take of, but it will work. It will make it. So there probably will be some future much nicer release, but the idea is that we can start having this tool functional.
Will this work on the Continuum Mini?
Yeah,
or,
it does work on the Mini.
And what's the max polyphony that you can get on
8?
8?
Yeah.
And do these macros appear as macros that you can change in the Egan Matrix, all of them, or is only some of them?
Yeah, it's really the specialty synth mechanism. So now in the new version of the firmware, we have 90 possible macros. So so they will be they are in the preset. Yeah.
But when you save it, like if you want to just make a preset in here, then save it into the Egan Matrix, at that point you've sort of got a traditional Egan Matrix preset, right? So you got your 6 macros that you can arrange any way you want. The large number of macros is mostly just so this interface can get figures and everything.
I imagine what we're going to do is you do the analysis and you load it into a slot, and then in the Egan Matrix we have a number of presets that are kind of like set up. One of them scrubs, the other one has
well,
Y.
that's what he generates.
Yes, exactly. But then outside of the specialty synth world, and then in the specialty synth world, you have something that you can manipulate.
Yeah.
So you.
This is not supported in L1X, is that correct?
No.
Yeah.
No, we had, in fact, the reason that L1X is gone is because to redo the protocol and stuff, we needed the memory.
Yeah.
And there's just no way. We also had doubled the number of formulas, we got all the memory, all that stuff. Yeah. And that's why now the reverb is better. That's why all these improvements are just too few bytes of memory.
So this one, so if you look, so this is the RCA theremin. So you see, it's a theremin, so that does not sound complicated. Okay, that's what it is. But if you just take that part, it's very low. If I do an analysis of it, already it's not great. Let's see. So I'm getting close. Funnily, I have only 334 partials. So that you say, okay, that's great. I'm going to be able to narrow it down. But weirdly, when you look at here, there is no guess of the what is the reference frequency. That's because the real reference frequency is very low. I need to take this down to the minimum, do re-estimate, and you see it's very stable, but the frequency, the reference frequency is 36 hertz. That's not something you're hearing. You're hearing the reference, well, your brain tells you it's 72, but the real one is 36, and that means that you have a partial every single 36 hertz. So that's a lot of partials, and there will be no way to narrow this down to 64. So I can channelize, but you see I'm still at 250, 8, simplify. That's the best I can do, 189. And if I extract this, it will work. I do it extract, but now if I play it, I've lost a lot of the frequency inside. And there is no way I can do 180 partials with 64. At that point, I can't do anything. So, but there is another trick that has been implemented here that I'm going to show it to you with another kind of sound. Let's say something like this. Okay, so you will not find any harmonic partials in its set of. It's a mess of partials. Don't even try to go to the traditional analysis. That will not work. But you may have seen here. I have something, an alternative path, which I called extract raw partials. So here, instead of trying to track the partials for the whole duration, I will take every single slice of the 512 slices, and within each slices, I will just take the 64 higher, and then jump to the next one and check the 64 higher. So at the beginning, they will be sorted, but then when one is going is lower its volume, it will be replaced by another, which may be a totally different frequency. So at the end of the day, the analysis will be kind of a mess in the order of partials. That means that things like format management will not work anymore. So you have to give up with the format correction. But for that kind of sound, you don't really care about what the format is. And so I can do that direct extraction here and play it. I missed something. I didn't do the analysis, that's why. So that's the analysis of the sound. So there's a bit of flanger effect inside. I didn't mention it, but the flanger effect is coming from the fact that at the end, we will have only oscillators. So when you start playing, you have a phase, but then the phase stays stable and you can't correct it. And in the traditional inverse Fourier transform, the phase really matters, but there's no way when you want to play it continuously that you can control the phase anymore. You can have some tricks.
Possibility, like if you want to play a particular pitch is a derivative of phase. I mean, you can't end up at a certain phase and also be able to change the pitch. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so the phase is okay for the first few milliseconds, and then it's crazy. That gives you that effect. Anyway, I can do that extraction here, and I'm not too bad. I can make my scrub. So I have, the way it is done here, I have a little more than 64 partials we are using, but I still can save this one. So I have a specific save button, which is save raw. So you see that's a direct pass. I just go from analysis to raw extraction and then save raw. And then I can send it once more to. So we have another minute to wait for the upload. The thing, so I did that thing where you can test directly on the computer, so you don't have to go to send, because it's 1 minute each time. So if you have 1 minute waiting time between each try, that may be a bit long. So you really can experiment, play with it, and by the way, in fact, that means that in the computer, I have the real-time additive synth fully working. And it's a plan in some future to have kind of a VST with much more than 64 partials, with much more than 512 So, but you will need to run them on a computer. Yeah, but that's for some future. That's 71.
Sample cell.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, you know, it's like sampling isn't very good for the DSP we have because we only have a bunch of memory, so we have very limited memory. Well, additive synthesis is kind of like sampling, except you multiply by about a factor of 500 amount of data you have. So, okay, so you know, now you've got this totally idiotic thing that just needs memory, but it's great for computers. You know, they don't care. We got megabytes, gigabytes of memory. Who cares?
So if I have the proper frequency, I still get it. I don't have the Foreman correction, so I have the Chipman effect, but I can. It's not exactly what we had at the beginning, but that's sound design, and that's something you can use to create whatever you want. So, I think we're close to the time. Yeah, we have a little bit of time left. So if you have any questions or if you want to do additional experiments.
One question. Is it possible to, you showed earlier where there's multiple pitch samples or various sections of the source sample used with optics or that RCFM or something?
So when you do an analysis in the additive bank, you can morph from one point to another. So that
it's been saved and you use the additive thing to...
Yeah. And here the preset I'm using is using one additive bank, and you have two of them. So we have the theremin sample that Randy gave, and that's only my own guess. I'm pretty so unless sample where you need a lot of sample in the dynamic and in the pitch. Here with two, the sound is not that complex. The thing is, we need to manage to have the proper partials to kind of replicate it. But then with only two of them, two samples, that will be more than enough to make it fully playable. It will not be exactly an RCA terminal, that's not the interest, but you will get the flavor and something which is fully consistent only with two analyses. That will be really plenty enough. Yeah?
Just ask this question here exactly, but like if you wanted to say blend some, like make like this kind of sonic chimera or something, you know, you have a whale, you have a wolf, you have a sine wave, you're thinking how hard you like press in and something will come in. So long as you design the sound like that, once you analyze it, you could then map it. So like maybe the wolf would come in when you press it a little harder, or on the X or the Y, or as opposed to some other sound. Like could you make it kind of like that, such that you could kind of change it and move with it?
You really can control the exact point where you want to read in the analysis. You can decide that this will be controlled by Z or by your foot pedal or whatever. It can be step. That's really then up to you doing the sound design.
So I think his question, he's asking, can you morph between multiple sources?
You can morph between multiple points within an analysis.
You'll actually be able to go between just two sources.
Right.
In time.
Okay.
But we got to be real careful.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about additive, keep in mind that it's been the synthesis technique of the future since the 1970s. And, you know, yes, you can do this, and you'll find examples where it's amazing. And, you know, the Modeling phrase, for instance, is actually a much simpler analysis than this, and it's quite gorgeous. Most people don't think it's additive because it actually sounds pretty good. But until you go slow with it or do something funny with it. But the thing is that if you want to do morphing, it has to know corresponding partials, which means if you don't have a harmonic sound, you're out of luck anyway. And even if you do have harmonic sound, say you're morphing between, I don't know what, a struck instrument, a vibraphone and a violin, right? The vibraphone dies out very quickly at the beginning and is basically a fundamental after not very much time. Where the violin has all this harmonic content, your ear will never, you know, you have to do a lot of stuff to try to do something that sounds like a struck violin. And that's some simple algorithm where you just do morphing as a pressure weighted, or I mean as an weighted average. It ain't gonna be that simple. So there's all sorts of really cool stuff you can do, but I think one of the big things that's been bad for sampling, for additive, is that people just want to take the super sampler and make it additive. And it's not that kind of world. And you're actually much better off doing like what Christophe is setting up here, where you have something that you use as your playground, and you just see where you can take it. But I think it would be a mistake to think, oh, this will be your next sampler.
That's really, Josh was showing this morning the fact that it's not, the osmos is not a keyboard. You really need to work with him and imagine what you can do and go in different way, but don't try to play piano on the osmos. That does not make sense. So this, even so, it looks like a piano keyboard, but this is the same thing. At first, you will say, oh, it's a sampler. No, it's absolutely not a sampler. It's just a way to get some sonic matter that you can work on. So you really need to forget everything about sampler and say, okay, this tool is doing things that there are things it managed to do. There are other things it will not manage to do. Experiment, take advantage of all the artifacts, all the weird things it's also doing, and that's the way really to go. When I was doing the sound I was playing from the daughter. If you listen carefully, it's full of artifacts. And in fact, that's an early analysis I did, and I would do it much better now, much better, much cleaner. But I don't want to drop that one off because I like the artifacts I have inside. So that's really the kind of mindset you would need to have when working with this. You need to use it as sonic matter, and what we usually call artifact, that's just part of what you are having, and you have to play with them, and that can be something nice. In the early days,
I was just going to say, if you wanted to have scrubbing through samples, you could just take, like, for example, 12 different wind instruments playing the same tone, print one audio track of that, and then use that for analysis, and it'll do really weird and interesting things.
The other thing to think about is this additive bank is just one thing inside the Egan Matrix. So you can combine this with ring modulators, other oscillators, resonant big banks, all those components, and make a composite sound. So you treat this as just a sound.
If you want to do FM with it, you can do FM. Whatever, you have to experiment, and nobody knows what was going to be the result. It's going to be different for every analysis. So yeah, that's really a playground.
A new tool with play with play.
Yeah.
So who made, somebody here, was it you, who made the sine bank horn? Was that you?
That's me, yeah.
Well, anyway, the sine bank horn is an interesting stuff. It wasn't even an analysis. It was just, I don't know what he found to eat that day. But in any case, you know, it's an interesting thing because it's a single modulator 16 carrier FM. And like, I don't know why he did that with the sine bank horn, but in any case, it's a beautiful sound. If you actually try to figure out what the heck is going on in here, it's quite difficult to figure out. It took me a long time to figure out, oh, it's an FM sound. After I got there, then I got something. But in any case, it's a similar thing here, right? You can do some pretty simple things and get some very interesting timbres. And yeah, like he says, I really like the idea that it's a source of timbres, it's a source of raw material that you can mess with. And the idea that it's a sampler, I think, is not useful at all. The fact that it comes from a sample is mildly interesting, but any physical model you have at some point comes from somewhere. Somebody did an analysis of something to figure out those parameters.
So don't impose an old paradigm on it, is what.
Yeah, because you'll just be sad. That's, I think, one of the things that's happened with additive over the years. There are a lot of possibilities there, but if you pardon my French, since he's French, it hasn't changed much in the last 20 years. It's about the same as it was 20 years ago. And in academic conferences, when I used to go to them, I haven't gone the last 20 years worth of them, but there are lots of papers at every conference about it. But did you ever hear good analyses or something musically interesting? It was rare. Now, there have been huge successes for additive, right? For instance, in the Wall-E movie, famously, that was done with Kima, which is a simpler analysis than this, but beautifully done. Ben Burt used Kima there, and all the lead voices in that were not done by voice actors. It's the first movie of that sort, right? Those are all Ben Burt's voice. He messed with the additive analysis of Kima. And they're very simple. And of course, yeah, they have artifacts like crazy, but instead of worrying about that, he featured them. These are robots, come on. Of course they're going to have weird voices. And it's just totally gorgeous. If you can take it in a direction it wants to go, I think that helps a lot. And if Christophe had more hours in each day.
Well, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.